So firstly, all staff need to be on the same page. We need to be communicating our expectations to parents and to students as clearly as possible, as often as possible. Everybody needs to be in agreement. So for us, we do parent information evening in the first few weeks of term. So we get the parents in to tell them about this. We do this at open evening. We have a student contract that they have to sign, making the expectations about studying really clear. We talk about it in assemblies. They talk about it with their learning coaches. They have the first few lessons with their subject teachers. We are talking about how to study, and we have subject handbooks so that they've got written down as well how we want them to study, how much we want them to study, what techniques we want them to use. They need to be hearing it from all sides. What we're making clear to them is that their level three qualifications are a full-time job. Most students in our situation, they have about 5 lessons a week, which are a little bit less than an hour per subject. And then in year 13, we sometimes are lucky enough to get 6 hours a week per subject, or 6 lessons a week per subject. But either way, it's about 15 hours a week of lessons. That is not a full-time job. A full-time job would be 35 hours a week of lessons, or more than that. So what we say to the students is that for every 1 hour that they're in a lesson, they're taught, they should be doing 1 hour of independent study. And we're not counting homework as part of that. This is their study, which is different to their directed work. We're quite lucky in that we have supervised study periods built into our timetable. So they have 1 or 2 hours a week where they're in a room with a member of staff who is watching them study. But if that's not the case, that they need to be doing this independently. They need to be doing this outside of the college time as well. In terms of what they're doing in that time, they need to be explicitly taught how to revise. It's really important that we don't assume that students know how to do this. They might have been with you at GCSE. They might have listened to you telling them how to revise at GCSE, but that doesn't mean that that's what they did to revise at GCSE. I find that some of the students we get from other schools, or especially the students we get from abroad, have often learnt in completely different ways. For example, rote learning. It might be that they haven't had a chance to practice practical skills very much, so they're not sure how to revise for the practical aspects of their biology exams. So it's important that we teach the strategy, we then model the strategy, including modeling what we're thinking about. So explaining the thought process behind it. So an example of that might be a walk and talk mock. Guided practice. So supporting them the first time they're trialing each of these techniques. So rather than just sending them off to do them at home, and then hopefully they'll be able to access the independent practice and the reflection.